Hello everyone, Zellerant here, and for today's video we're going to be doing a react. It's been a little while since I've done one. Someone had posted in the Discord that Moment had made a video based on the Ancestors and Guides, or as it's going to be called for us in Global, the Progenitors and Guides support card. And so I haven't seen this video at all, but he's basically giving the advice of why you should be skipping this card, even though it is basically a mandatory card similar to as we've had with like Late Hello that you're going to use every single run during the Grand Masters scenario. But it's even an advice that I have kind of discussed in the past with this card being a potential card that you just skip and perma borrow during Grand Masters based on kind of looking at the upcoming CMs and the League of Heroes, because we will have League of Heroes that will drop during it. And I know for a lot of people, once League of Heroes drops, it pretty much makes it where there's only 3 CMs per scenario. And when it comes to the League of Heroes, if you're not chasing the top ranks, like top 96, you can get away with like permaborrow something like this and still get the top platinum title, because getting the platinum title in League of Heroes is a lot easier than champions meetings, as long as you build competent enough Umas. And so living with this with the perma borrow means you're only basically perma borrowing it for 3 CMs overall. But I will say my opinion has slowly shifted, especially for someone like me who spends money. Now he's talking specifically for free to play, so we'll see his argument on it, and it'll probably be pretty similar to mine, because I feel like free to play can perma borrow it as well, especially if you've been smart with your pulls, of course. But my opinion is, yeah, as a complete free to play, because this card is right after Major Romanu, which is where I'm going to tell you, your Moment probably is going to say, pretty much all the content creators are saying, where you're going to want to dump as many pulls as you can on Major Romanu, the new Big Wit card, and thus she's right after it. And that is one of the reasons why she was going to be an easy skip for most, unless you're willing to spend money. And then you have Mihono Bourbon Wit that's right after her for front runners. But and then we can actually, while looking at this, probably towards the end, maybe we can look at the upcoming CMs to showcase how you can utilize it as a perma borrow. Because like the Henry Handsome guide here, for example, that they have based on Korean and Japanese meta decks as they've had them. Every single one of them on the standard deck kind of showcases, well, Grand Life here. If we go to here, every single one of them, the standard non-whale deck has you borrowing Goddess card. Now, you have to take this with a grain of salt still. We could get early updates that could change things. So you can't 100% believe this to be completely true in that respect. But there is the assumption in here that you can perma-borrow Ancestors and Guides, just for the simple fact that you should, if you've been smart and playing since day one, have all these other cards. Or a decent enough replacement. So maybe you don't have Fine Motion, but you can use Mr. CB, or you can use Nakayama Fest, or some other big wit card alongside Major Romano. But we'll talk about that after we get done with the react. Let's see what a Moment has to say on the Goddess card here.
We will be talking
And
about
it is
the
a 30-minute video. I don't know how he made this last 30 minutes the yapping about the Goddess card. There is a lot to it. And it is better than the Throne card in a lot of ways. But it is quite a long video, and as you already know, I tend to extend the length a quite decent amount, because I like to make sure I am commenting on everything I'm hearing from the video and my thoughts on it. So
towards the
just
card,
be ready for a
and
longer video
I will
here.
talk about it now since this is going to be the next scenario card, and I have to quickly give attention on something that has had pretty much like a heated comment section in my previous video, and that being skipping the ancestors.
Oh, is his previous video a pull priority video? I need to make a new one of those as well. Ah, yep. Okay, so he did a pull priority video.
Card and just borrowing it.
Yeah, I've done a pull priority video. It's been a little bit since I've went through Grand Masters, but yeah, I'm pretty sure I said for most this is gonna be easy borrow. But that video was prior to us getting independent training. Independent training has really changed my thoughts on a lot of cards. But then again, I'm thinking about parents too when it comes to building because there's certain cards that are really good for parent making, which this one will continue to have value, just like Throne continues to have value right now because of independent training. A lot of people, that's not on your mind as a free to play. You just make work with what you got. Should be able to in Grandmasters get SS fairly easily, and so having cards like Throne or the Progenitors isn't going to be a difference maker in terms of rank as much, more so the skills. As we know, the PAL cards finish their chains basically, or every single time, versus the normal cards that don't.
Today I will be giving you pretty much my perspective on why you should not pull for this card and instead just borrow it. And of course, feel free to do whatever you want. This is just going to be a video just giving you my perspective because I know that I will not be able to pretty much convince everybody.
Yeah, you're not gonna convince everyone.
Everybody
Hey, who knows? Maybe you can convince me. Let's see. I mean, I'm kind of in that wiggle room. If anyone hasn't watched my videos on terms of how much, in terms of whaling over the next two scenarios, it's a little pricey. I mean, even for me, for how much I'm willing to spend, I'm like, man, it's kind of pricey. Because I'm buying everything on the second anniversary. Plus, it's looking like I might top up about 120 to 150,000 carats, and even that much is not enough for me to guarantee, or as closely as I can guarantee, everything that I want. Now, guarantee meaning I go to 200 pulls on every single Uma, and certain banners I have to go to 600 pulls for the support cards. Hopefully I'm not getting red new level type of luck like that, and I don't have to spend as much, but it is getting tricky to the point that I'm having to kind of plan around some more skips in there because it's even more money than even I'd like to spend, even though I'm spending a decent amount on the game.
has their own opinions. So yeah, before we start, pretty much I have not played the scenario itself, but I have seen the gameplay and I have seen pretty much decks that is used for champions meetings and League of
Mm-hmm.
Heroes for the duration of where the Ancestors card is very very valuable in.
Well, it's valuable in all of them, but the very first CM, that's another thing I didn't mention. The very first CM, the Goddess card drops after it. Now, for us, it'll probably drop at the very end, so like right before the finals. Unless, I mean, they've seemed to have wised up to that, and they have been looking to try and prevent that, at least to a certain extent. It's not been completely the case. I mean, we saw Taiki Shuttle Speed come right at the very end of that mile CM. And so actually Throne is, for the very first CM, the support card you will borrow to build your aces for that first CM. So to actually make, this card's only used, I think, in two during the whole scenario when it comes to CMs, and then 2 League of Heroes, or 3 League of Heroes and 2 CMs, or something like that. Um, so even reduced
The
value
reason
there.
why I even made this video in this first place is simply because I have seen a comment that I found to be very interesting.
Okay, let's see. He's got a comment. That's a long comment. In my honest opinion, answer is not a borrow card. Save more. There's nothing to pull in Grand Live. Okay. People say it's good at 3 or 4 limit break for the 5. Okay, training effect is, yeah, I mean, it's not enough to warrant that you have to have it at that level for sure. Now I will say, for independent training, that is a difference maker. We have seen that. But if we're able to get SS consistently easier in Grand Live, that might not be the case with independent training. Because if you look at Loop Accord here, I think they have it traced for Throne, and I would assume Goddess will be similar. All right, so just taking a look at this, you can kind of get the idea for Throne. The biggest thing, one big thing we like from Throne is skill point. So it is only from MLB to Zero Limit Break, a 330 skill point difference to 400 there. And so you're losing out on 70. So Goddess card for independent training on the skill point side isn't that big of a difference. Stat-wise, not too much either. It's actually not terrible. Especially if we're very easily getting SS in Grandmasters, then you could probably get away with a low limit break Ancestors and Guides support card. Because I feel like you should be able to get UG very easily, or at least SS with a parent deck versus kind of a dedicated deck like we're having to do in Grand Live right now. And so I feel like just doing 200 pulls is good enough. And you walk away with a good enough card for building your aces, as well as now using an independent training. It has Uma stand and other things in there. So that's just good thoughts on there. Let's just get back into it
Interesting,
here.
but I felt disagreeing with some of the stuff.
Oh, let's see the rest of this comment here. He's probably gonna go through it. I don't want to read all of it. 10%. Okay. He just going through why training effect isn't that big of a deal. Yeah, you can't borrow luxury. Yeah, one of the things is there's there's a lot of luxury cards in Grandmasters. Now you could say if you skip the Progenitors card, you can pull for one of those luxury cards, and especially if you're a small spender and you're buying the selectors, my advice is to dip your toes on one of those cards. And then using the selectors to hopefully MLB it, or at least get it to limit break 3, and then you can crystal it up to MLB if need be. You should be able to do that in every scenario if you're willing to buy the selectors. And by skipping this card, that might give you that opportunity. You have to just plan it out based on the upcoming CMs. So he mentions the luxury cards. Yep. Parent farm. Okay. He does actually. There's also parent farming too. We all gonna do parents, and there's a nice nature that comes. Okay, that is a card that I love. Um, um, but independent train, like I'm thinking about skipping that card through the simple fact now that independent training doesn't finish the chains easily. Now we'll have to see. We'll have to see if taking like a full harem deck really changes that at all. Um, so I
That's
mean,
said
it's
in
kind of
here, so I
same things
decided to
I'm
make
kind
a
of
video.
saying.
Please do not attack the person. I tried to hide their name. If you find
Don't roll on luxury card. It depends on if you care about League of Heroes over or CM realistically on some of these. Some of these aren't like Chris S isn't as much of a luxury. You'll actually see it get quite a bit of use from what I can tell.
this person and make fun of them, then I will straight up like put you on mute for the channel. So please do not go after anybody. Anyways, we will go over these points later on the video, but I have to
Yeah,
basically
yeah,
go
yeah.
over the
I
quick.
mean, my advice for most is you skip this and you really, I mean, people just like, that's why I do the account reviews, is you got to kind of plan out the scenarios. Like, just look at every single CM and what you're going to run on that CM, potentially, depending on the Umas you're going to pull for, and what support cards are you going to need. It takes a lot of time, but it can save you a lot of money if you're a spender, or save you from being your account being bricked for that scenario. You just try and plan it out. I mean, I know it's not super easy to plan everything out, especially with them constantly now throwing things at us that change it up. Grand Live kind of is a little bit different for us because we got the second anniversary updates early outside of evolutions. So it's completely different for us. We care about power a lot more because of the changes for power. And independent training really changed things as well. It might not be as noticeable in the terms of other things, but because of the increase in quality of parent making, it has changed a lot. So who knows what we'll get early in Grandmasters that could completely shift things. There is like the stamina update where excess stamina um, can be converted to speed. I don't know exactly how all the mechanics work. All I know is once that thing comes out, stamina becomes even more important because not only do you need it to survive, but you also want it for speed. So things could shift. Certain cards could have their value increased or decreased based on things they give us early. We cannot completely go on what Japan and Korea had. Now we can kind of think about it and plan around it. One thing I had mentioned early was the Tosin Jordan speed card that was absolute trash in JP. Is very, very good. We're seeing a lot of people take advantage of Tosin Jordan's speed now because of straightaway recovery and breath of fresh air actually being a good heal now, which it was not for JP. So it changed. Like things can change. There could be cards that look like absolute crap right now that get buffed. Now that's going to need theory crafting. I don't know. I have to look into what's coming with like third anniversary and fourth anniversary and things they could give us early that could elevate the value of certain cards.
Itself. The Ancestors card is pretty much going to be the card that you are going to be using in Grandmasters once this card comes out. This card does not come out for the first Champions meeting of Grandmasters for some whatever reason. However, it comes out on the second for the
Yep.
Grandmasters. Don't ask me why. The Champions meeting where this scenario will come out.
It's better than Throne. Throne came out at the last second. This one, you only miss one CM with it.
It's going to be 103,200 meters, which is going to be a very interesting CM considering this is a group card, but it is what it is. Essentially, we have a lot to go over here. They have speed, stamina, and power bonus, 3 excellent stats, and they are all actually at like their full value at limit break 1. At limit break max limit break, essentially you get the highest amount of friendship bonus and also 10% training effectiveness. The training effectiveness aspect is why a lot of people have debate, oh, it's only 10% training effect.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen Lightburb show the math on that, though, and the difference it can make, so...
Is not going to equate to that much. Later on, I will talk about it more, and of course, the friendship bonus is a very important factor, and as for the unique effect, it gets 10% friendship bonus and 15% mood effect when the bond gauge is full, and 1 skill point bonus alongside of it. So overall, very fantastic, and you should try to max this bond gauge very fast because this card will give you a lot of power once they are able
very
to
good
get
card.
to their max bond. As for the skills, they provide a lot, and I mean a lot of skills.
Yeah, this is one of the reasons, because I want to be able to pair it with Throne is ultimately why I want it. Throne's very good for medium corners. Like, medium corners is a very easy skill to now get built into your parent chains just from the simple... Now, it's not that hard of a skill to get versus something like mile corners, which this one has, although it's on a random event, so you're not going to always get it like you will with the other ones. But this one's very, like, just overall pretty good for parent making to just have generically in your deck at all times. Because these will just randomly show up because of it.
Ramp up, sprint corners, long straightaways, corner adept, mile corners, medium corners, straightaway adept. Umastan, you also still have productive.
Now, Umastan's guaranteed.
Countermeasure, deep breath, divine speed, all have got, 777, and high speed. High speed and divine speed are the exclusive skill for this card. Just know that this is a good...
It's not exclusive. High speed is on other cards. Divine speed's exclusive. Now, high speed is... One, that'll be nice when you're using this, because you'll be using the gold, so you'll be able to get it built into your parents fairly decently. Now, when you do look at high speed, when I'm kind of dependent, like trying to determine the best skills that kind of get built into my parents and grandparents, or my great-grandparents ultimately for future CMs, I look at what are some of the meta cards coming out, and how accessible is this skill when I can no longer easily get it. So, this skill will easily get divine speed every single run with Grand and Grandmasters because of this card. But after that, if you want it, you get high speed off Duramante, which good speed card for your backliner, enclosures primarily. Or if ever Guts, a meta card everybody will be pulling for because she's on a PAL card banner. Simply Rudolph, a good backliner one. That one's not a meta that I know of. Could be. I don't really know of her being super meta. Tamamo Cross is super meta power card. Everybody will get from pulling. And then you have the God tier Forever Young that came out not that long ago. Super strong wit card. So you can decently... a lot of people are going to pull in the Duramante banner just for the simple fact that one's also paired with, I think, Satono Diamond Wit. And we get free pulls on it. So it'll become a little bit more accessible not too long after this card falls off. So not as important of a skill to get into your parents and grandparents, but also still, it doesn't hurt being a PAL card, and you're not always going to be using those cards. Now, there are some better ones that, like the scenario ones, that you want to prioritize over it. But
good skill, and you will
still a decent one
buy
to
it
pick up, and
every single
everything
time
else in here
once
is
you
great.
use this card. As for the events, it's very similar to Throne, where you have a very limited amount of dates. This is only about 5 dates. You have the Arabian, which gives you guaranteed straight away adapt, and Umastan, which means
Very
that
good.
for the pace, late, and end closers.
Yep. No more jobber. Well, okay, the jobbers might not have it because they're jobbers, but yeah, it's just like right now, everybody's got see you later because Light Hello gives it. Everybody will have Umastan in Grandmasters. Everyone will also have Firm Course Menace because it comes from the scenario alongside In Body and Mind.
Even front runners, you can put Umastan. For fronts, it's a early game skill that helps you beat the other front runners. As for the other strategies, it helps you break out of pace down mode. So very good skill. Then we have Barley Torque. She gives you deep breath and all I have got. Two decent skills. And then we have Godolphin Barb. Productive Flan is a very good skill. Countermeasure is not something that I wouldn't probably pick, but it has the effect where it will heal all negative status effects. So if you get Slacker, you get Practice Poor, you get I don't know, like migraines, then you can
Yeah.
just heal it.
Narita Taishin Enjoyers. I mean, I'll just put it that way. Narita Taishin, gonna love this card. You get some of your mood back, and if I'm not mistaken, we probably will get the buff for Narita Taishin where her event's not as bad on the mood down, because I think it goes from a 3 mood down to a 2. And this one, right off the bat, giving you 1 mood back, plus healing the negative condition. Basically, this one event fixing basically all of her problems when that happens. Super good for her. And Narita Taishin continues to be very good. And this card will make her even better. I know a lot of people got used to not having to deal with her event in Trackblazer, and now she kind of feels bad in Grand Live. This by itself will make her a lot
and
better.
will be extremely powerful. And then on the final date, you get the exclusive skill that is going to be Divine Speed, and then you, of course,
Now, you might have the problem in that it's like Throne. You want to finish it kind of quickly so you can get these going. But you are, like, I think timing wise, it's going to be similar where you do it right before the second summer. I don't know the exact play style in this scenario. But I'm pretty sure this one is usable before or during Taishin there. Because this one, I believe you want to force this for the second summer, so you have
are
plenty of
able
time.
to perform friendship training once you get pure passion, prodigies, and guides. So essentially, this is the exact same as Team Sirius and Throne card in terms of effect. You are able to friendship train, and of course, that is very powerful. As for the other stuff that you can get, stuff like ramp up is very good. You can also get the option between going for corner adept, mild corners, or medium corners. You also have the option to go for.
I mean, in this one, you can use an independent training. You can tell it which one to basically go for. You just, in that little area where you tell the skills, you just make sure you have only one of these ones, and which, depending on what you need, you go for mile corners or medium corners.
For sprint corners, long straightaways, triple sevens, and by the way, dating before the first year event is actually like very good. On the start of the second year event, if you are dating with the ancestors card, essentially you get.
I mean, it's your run's dead if you don't get. That's a lot. Big energy. That you get the hint for discount.
3 hint levels for high speed, and that makes divine speed much cheaper, which of course is very very good. As for this portion, I don't really want to talk about the scenario mechanics itself. The reason is because scenario is actually quite complex, but just.
Yeah, I mean, it's the scenario link mechanic. This is why you can't use Throne when it drops. Throne is the card you use until this one drops. But it's these are the little fragments that you use to like create these little stones that give you a crap ton of stats. That's all you need to know. I mean, I'll be making a video on it. I haven't played through it, and I've only watched it and seen it and have a general understanding of it. but until I actually like play through it and get a real good feel for it, like I did with Grand Live, I wouldn't want to try and explain how it works. Just know, Light Hello, when you click Light Hello, she gives you the random tokens for buying your songs in that shop. This is giving you these fragments. Then you get to pick which one you want. Just like on Throne, I think you had an option, but it was only stats. You get to pick one of the fragments you want, and depending on what you need here, you pick whatever. And so, very, very good mandatory card to use for that alone.
Just know
It's why
that
it makes it. It's why it's better than Throne too.
when you are training with the Ancestors card, you will have pretty much fragments that you get from them. The top option gives you red, and then the middle option gives you blue, and the bottom option gives you yellow. Just know that these are going to be very important, and I think they might matter the same, if not more, than Light Hellow's 20 tokens when you are training with her. So yeah, that is something that you should really focus on. It's very powerful, and again,
Yeah,
I don't really
I mean the like you can kind of see. You can look at the little pyramid here and how many you're needing to get up here. And that's one whole filled
want to
slot.
talk
I
about.
think it's like the equivalent of it's kind of like hello's worth an entire turn. I think it's about the same value, to a certain extent. I don't know the scenario enough to know, but that's how much you need. And these give
Scenario
a
mechanics
lot.
itself right now because this is still like 3 months away. Oh boy. I hope this is okay to talk about. This is going to be the first
Hey, it's okay to talk about because I'm talking about it too. As you're you're about to talk about theirs. You can always react to other people's comments and stuff.
time where I tackle something like this, but this is pretty much the debate. This comment says that Ancestors is not a battle card and just save more. There's nothing to pull for Grand Life right now. You should spend 200 and go for one limit break on the Grandmasters.
I mean, I already disagree with that part. There's plenty to pull on Grand Life. Everything is skippable. But, I mean, one, you have your Oshi pullers. Number two, you have people that are, like, they like a specific position. And, like, if you like front runners and you want to be a front runner, big front runner player, you have Ines Fujin Valentine's. You have Kita-san Black on New Year's. If you like, there's a lot of, like niche, but still not more important than niche stuff to get. That there's plenty to pull for in Grand Life. It's just everything is skippable in certain contexts, which for a lot of people you could skip most of it, but there are like one or two things you might want to pick up. The biggest thing is just making sure you're ready for Major Ramanu, and Major Ramanu is going to eat those carrots right before her, and then you have Mihono Bourbon Wit right after the goddess
Card,
card.
and you will be much better. I don't agree with this, but again, I will talk about my points. People say it's only good at
Go one limit. You're not guaranteed limit break 1 in 200 pulls. That's the first thing. And to me, not worth a crystal. No. If you don't get it, that just sucks. You just kind of have to deal with it.
3 limit break and 4 limit break for the 5% and 10%. That is correct, but the difference is so minuscule. I don't think the difference is so minuscule. Due to the specialty priority, you have an 18% chance of it appearing on any training. I think the chance is actually 18.2%. I think that is it. It's like 100 over 550. That is the pretty much like the number that it generates. Most, if not all, the cards are 15, 20. I'm sorry, 15 to 20% training effectiveness. Kitasan Black, Fan Motion, Creek, Measure Ramon,
Yeah,
Nice
so he's
Nature,
talking all the other
etc.
big ones.
So on average, the training already has about 20% training effectiveness. Okay, that is a fair point.
I mean, but it's not. It's not got. What do you call it? Having more, it's not like you're getting less value the higher it gets. As we can see in Grand Live, when it starts snowballing that training effective, or not training, but friendship bonus from getting like more training effectiveness is always good. It just makes the number unless you're getting 100, the max stat, then and that's when you don't need any more. When you hit 100 and you can't get any more, okay, you got plenty. But now we have all the other scenario mechanics that adds more stats on top of the 100. And we're not even getting close to those levels anyway, where that training effectiveness would be useless. So it still has value there. There's no like
An additional
diminishing
5 to
returns on it.
10% training effectiveness is about 4 to 8% output per tap. Where if you trained with ancestors because the training effectiveness is additive, it suffers from diminishing returns. That could be correct, but
I
this
don't
part
think it's got diminishing to that level. I'm pretty sure. I mean, I'd have to look. I don't think it has diminishing returns to that extent because it's. I mean, it could be right. I'm pretty sure it's multiplicative in that. That's why as it starts like you see it start stacking up, you get the numbers get bigger and bigger quite quickly. I mean, it's why you could
part over here,
see why you saw massive numbers in Track Blazer when you added a bunch from the items.
it's like, how did
Because you were adding, what was it, 50% from the ankles? I believe it was 50% from the ankles. Then if you had the big friendship bonus, and then you had more training, like it all just stacked and you just got those massive hits. So I don't think it's diminishing unless you're hitting the cap.
we go from this to 1.8 to 1.6?
I don't know. I would have to see Lightburb's video on that. I could be wrong in what the equation is, so don't take my word for that. I'm just, from what I understand, it's to me,
Final stat output
not going
from
to
training.
diminish at that level, like he's saying.
I think this is not correct. The events, I don't really count events because like it's so minuscule at like between difference.
Well, I get it. Yeah, easy. I'm not saying that it's different, or I'm not saying that 50% is way bigger than 5 to 10. I'm just saying it's not diminishing in the sense that 10%, your first 10% is not worth more than your second 10%. It's not like every 10% is equally as valuable. If the 10% is adding 5 speed, then every new 10% is adding 5 speed. If it had diminishing returns, you would say the first 20% adds 5 to 10 speed, then the next 20% only adds 3 speed, and then the next 20% only adds 2 speed. Like, it diminishes the value. I don't think it works like that. And that the ankles from Track Blazer kind of showed that with how massive it was. If it was diminishing returns, you just wouldn't get as much value out of it.
Between all like PAL cards, so I just don't really talk about it that often. Because of its random after training effect, I'll be generous and give it 2 to 3% final.
Yeah, you were wasn't it 100? You're getting over 100 because it was 60% from a megaphone and 50% from the ankle. So you were getting 110. So it was massive. And so it did not diminish. So you're not getting diminishing returns. It's basically what I'm trying to get at.
Output increase. I don't agree with this. This is the part why I actually made the video. But for what cost?
Okay, I wonder what Momin's thoughts are on this. Because I'm going to guess he's on the same opinion as me. For free-to-plays. There's a lot of luxury cards that are long-term value that you will use decently enough to pull for. KS Miracle, I know, is a big one in there. Where you'll see it pop up all over the place because it's just that random. If you like your Pace Chasers, that's a very good luxury card, especially if you're a light spender and willing to use selectors to top it up a little bit. I don't even know if that one needs dupes. But saving the pulls from Goddess does allow you to pull one of these luxuries, and then you can use the luxury while borrowing the Goddess card.
You can borrow luxury borrows. Major McQueen Stamina, Gold City Guts, Daiichi Ruby Power, Jungle Pocket Speed for backliners that could not.
Okay, Pokey Speed is by no means a must-have in any means. Good card, not a must-have. Like, there's like no big must-haves. As long as you have the core deck, you can get away with like all the CMs and even League of Heroes. You only are caring about like having that meta deck for high ranking in League of Heroes, which is Whale Wars. I mean, I'm gonna push hard on it, but I'm spending a lot of money to do that. If you've watched me look at my pull calculator and how much I'm gonna have to spend just through Grandmasters, yeah, don't worry about, just get your Platinum 4 in League of Heroes unless you want to spend a lot of money. Um, by no means must have.
Pull her. I will go back into this portion specifically. Bourbon went for non-bourbon mains for to large
But yeah,
for
then
League
again,
of
I
Heroes,
gotcha.
and
Yeah, I
simply the
got you. To me, I'm of the opinion if you do pull on it, even zero limit break is usable. I 100% zero limit break is usable for free to plays if you're unlucky in that respect. I've gotten more into the opinion of pulling for it just because you have more value than just using it for your aces, but also independent training. I mean that has elevated its value. The hardest part though is Major Romanu is right before it. So I'm of the opinion you do 400 pulls on Major Romanu. Is anyone going to have 600 pulls by that point to pull on her and then pull on the Goddess card? Now you only need 500 because we're getting 100 on Major Romanu for free. But will you have after Major Romanu the 200 pulls for Goddess card?
best stat stick you currently don't have on your deck. Bourbon Wit and League of Heroes, that is a fair point. But are you saying frontrunner LARPers? So somebody that is not playing frontrunner has their main strategy, use frontrunners. Just a question. Just a question. Do you you have to pull for frontrunner characters? You know that? Like you have to pull for Valentine Agnes Fusion. You also have to have Valentine Mihono Bourbon. Kita-san Black New Year version in the first League of Heroes.
Yeah.
So you're
Yeah, the first League of Heroes, he's correct here. He's looking at, okay, so he's definitely looking at something like this. If you care about League of Heroes, Kita-san New Year's, Bourbon Valentines, or Ines Fujin Valentines, Neo Universe kind of being the other big one here. You could make like vodka work. This is like your main core. I'm guessing Tokai Teo, since we'll have evolutions, will also be very strong. Because her evolutions are very good for her. And this is where you start seeing the whale decks come out. You're going to want Muteki Guts as your main borrow. You'll want Goddess card. You'll want Mihono, Bourbon, Wit, and Major Romanu. You're getting wrecked. You are getting wrecked if you want to be the whale to try and get in the top 96. But, look, I mean, this is what they have for JP in Korea on your... You should have Agnes Taki on speed. If you're running frontrunners, you should have Summer Zensky. Everybody has Haru Udada Guts, Fine Motion, any of the strong wit cards. Mr. CB, Nakayama Festa. It doesn't have to be Fine Motion. You just need a stat stick wit there. Major Romanu, you should be pulling for it. You can borrow Goddess card. This will get you to Plat 4, which I don't even think we get Plat 4 in the first League of Heroes anyway. I think there's only the first Platinum, which is Plat 1. You get more carrots if you reach Plat 4. But the actual title is stupidly easy to get. I don't think they actually added the Platinum 4 title until Lark. And they never retroactively added that. They retroactively added the top 96 title, which if you're not a whale, you're not getting that. Like, even with my spending, it'll be very, very hard for me to get it.
you're
So,
pulling on
don't worry too much about that in that respect.
3 characters just to play League of Heroes competitively. If you are not maining front runners, I don't think you should try to go for the top 96 for League of Heroes. Just give up. Don't go for that. That's so expensive. Even for
Yeah, do not, if you're not spending, I wouldn't worry too much about it. Just worry about getting the title, the platinum title. And that's it. That's all. Like, it's just going to be super hard. And they don't add the other rank titles until, at least in the JP side, they just added them like 2 League of Heroes ago. And they did not retroactively add anything other than the top 96.
that plays front or main will probably not push for the top 96 top positions. Most of the reward is at Platinum 4. And like, you can reach Platinum 4 with most of these strategies. I would not recommend you to pull on frontrunner characters solely for the reason of League of Heroes if you are a free to play player. But that is just me. So that is the point. Like, if you have the characters, Bourbon Whip part makes sense, but I don't agree with the other cards. Okay, moving on. For 200 pulls, you are free to borrow whatever you want for skills or for stats, which is a better position to be in than using suboptimal cards because you borrow ancestors. I will go about that later. There's also parent farming too. I guess this is a fair point. He's talking
Yep, okay, he's got it. Yeah, that's the big
about
one.
nice nature power.
Now he's talking about it from Nice Nature Power, which to me is more of a manual card, unless we can prove otherwise that by doing like more of a harem deck, you can finish these chains quicker, which if that's the case, Nice Nature Power, very, very good card. As long as you could consistently finish the gold skill on it.
This is a very good power card, but I tried auto on Grandmasters. I can definitely say you don't need to parent farm on Grandmasters. I know there is the blessing skills. Just wait a bit. There will be people that will farm it. You just borrow from them after we are done with Grandmasters. Trust me when I say this. You don't need to pull on ancestors so that you can use auto with Grandmasters.
Oh, yeah, auto doesn't need it. It doesn't need it. The whole reason I support it is it finishes the chains. You get so many more skills. It finishes the chains. You get a lot more skill points. But that's a whale strategy. You don't need it. And Grandmasters, you should get SS without it.
Card just so that you can borrow nice nature power. I think for the most part, you don't really need the blessing skills just day one because they will be available in the Grandmaster scenario. And after 4 months, there will be parents that just have these blessing skills. So you don't really need to use like the Ancestors card in Grandmaster parenting with auto so that you just get the blessing skills. I don't really agree with this take also, but let's move on. Like the opportunity cost for a flexible borrow slot for stats or for skills significantly outweighs the Ancestors 2 to 3% final stat output, that I genuinely do not think it's worth it to use Ancestors as a borrow card. Okay, this is a point. This is his point. I'm going to evaluate my point and give it my perspective.
All right, I'm back here. Had to go grab and take care of something real quick. We'll just get right back into this. We are halfway through this video. Man, this one's definitely looking like I may go 3 times maybe. I've done 3 times the length before. I'll try and hopefully get through this a little bit quicker. Maybe we don't have to see the rest of the video. And it looks like he does start talking about cards. As you can see here, I can see Nice Nature Power. We don't need, Gold City, Guts. We're not going to go into those. We'll actually stop probably around here. I can make my own argument.
Luxury cards like Key S Miracle, Chris S, the H Rupee Power, and so on and so forth. They are all horrendous cards training wise and should only be considered as borrows even if they are near full power at 1 limit break. This is the most questionable part because for me, what I'm reading is that essentially he's going to pull on 1 limit break Ancestors card, and he's going to borrow a maximum break of a card that has a horrendous training value. So like this part is like, I think contradicting a bit of what he's saying above. You if you know what I mean, because 10% training effectiveness is more than a card that has horrible training values, which is not the case, by the way. Because if Kia's Miracle Guts just goes on a speed training, you're getting a lot more power than you think. So that is something that I don't really agree with too.
I mean, the thing is, a lot of those luxury cards are primarily, like, you're not bringing them because the card's amazing stat-wise or anything. You're bringing it just like Daichi Ruby for the current mile. Daichi Ruby Power sucks to use. It feels terrible. That's why when I kind of reacted to the Victoria Frontier versus Lightburb thing, I agreed with Lightburb to his extent on using it because that's how you're going to build the strongest ace. but you're trying to high roll with that card. You're trying to get that really, really high roll on speed. You still need to max speed. You still want to get your high wit. You want to get your power, of course, as high as possible. Daichi Ruby is there primarily for her gold skill. If you could get that gold skill on a speed card, you'd absolutely take the speed card over the power card. That's going to be the same thing with any of those other cards. You're not taking it for the stats, and they're there to get the high roll to give you the best chance of winning. And ultimately, the high roll matters the most in the League of Heroes. So as you can see here, for example, we just look at the first one where you're going to want to borrow, well, at least the whale deck based on the scent. You're borrowing Muteki, but in order to be able to borrow Muteki for killer tunes, as it states specifically, you're borrowing this card for killer tunes. Outside of that, Guts Urara is better because it has skill point bonus, while Muteki Guts does not. But in order to be able to borrow this card, if you don't have it yourself, you need to have your Major Romanu, which you should. You need to have your Goddess card, which you either borrow it or you should have it if you pull for it. And you need to have Mihono Bourbon Wit. Guess what? These three are like back to back to back. There's like only one support card between each one of these. And unless you're spending money, free-to-plays don't have a chance at getting this. Now, free-to-plays have a very good chance at having this. And you'll see the same thing amongst the CMs as well. Grandmasters, here's a frontrunner example on Grandmasters for the medium 2000 Nakayama. So the whale deck wants you to have, why does it have, oh, is this the first one? Okay, this is the very first one. So this one has you using Throne because it's the very first CM. But then you're borrowing Muteki, borrowing Twin Turbo. This would be Goddess card if it was available for the first one. But if you look at 24, you're borrowing McQueen Stamina, as it's the 3200 Tenosho Spring. She is slightly better than Super Creek in the fact that her heal only works on longs, but not only does it heal like Swinging Maestro, it gives you a speed increase. But in order to do that, one, you have to have the rest of, you have to, of course, have your Major Romanu here. You need to have your Goddess card. Now, this whale deck's going crazy. This is wanting you to bring Agnes Tachyon for speed bonus, and then you're using Tokai Teo. Now, you could kind of move this around and say if you have Goddess card yourself, you could borrow Tokai Teo and then use Agnes Tachyon and have a not a full whale deck, but like a dolphin deck. But as you can see, it's buying you the flexibility for these cards down here. So this one, and I'm only looking at front runners. You got the same case on the back enders. So this is the mile one. Here's one where Narita Taishin's really strong again, coming back to that Tokyo 1600. If you remember the last one, she was really strong. This one, you want to be able to borrow Daichi Ruby for Lightning Surge, which is where you would have Goddess card. If you don't do that, then you'll do Leap Forward. And this will be one of those cases where you just follow Victoria Frontier's advice. Just build Leap Forward into your parents and don't use a power card. Instead, you use Guts Urara. In this case, instead of being able to borrow Taiki Shuttle Speed, you're borrowing the Guts card, or the Goddess card. Right now, we're basically in this scenario right now. Everybody's borrowing Taiki Shuttle Speed for Mile Maven. If you don't have Goddess card, you're not able to. You're instead just having to borrow Goddess, and you just go without it and instead get production processing. So that is what it's buying you. Is it really good? Yes. Is it worth 200 pulls when there's only CM25, CM26, and I think 27? We are in Lark, and Goddess card is dead. Goddess card is completely dead at this point. So 2 CMs. And then 2 League of Heroes. League of Heroes 2. League of Heroes 2 is a sprint. And this one's like Pace Chaser Sprint. This one is, now there is a card that I personally really like. It's not very good for CMs, but people that like consistency will like it. Aston Matcha and Wit. I'm absolutely pulling this card. But as you can see, this one, if you're not willing to go like crazy, if you're not willing to go crazy whale, I mean, you can just don't even worry about this one. Just build your normal meta deck right here. Just build this one, you're good to go. This one's super expensive. Same thing with League of Heroes 1. Don't worry about League of Heroes. Just focus on CMs, unless you're a whale. when it comes to your pulls. Or you're like me and you really want to shoot for that top 96 and you're willing to sacrifice on CM quality of cards to have quality of cards for League of Heroes, because they both have differences in what cards are strong and which ones are not.
So let's dissect it. In my the training effectiveness portion, but essentially I
These links
put
are
it
now. Yeah,
on a
Goddess
website.
card is Link scenario. Goddess card. That last one was Lark. The one we looked at was Lark. She dies when Lark drops because that has a new pal card. Um, yeah, CM 28. 28 or is it 27? Yeah, this one is in Lark. So this is the Link one. Whatever her Satake.
Website called Uma.guide. This is a very good website. It lets you put other cards and see the values. I use it a lot with other cards, and I essentially found out which cards have very good effects with other cards. Which cards seem good.
And what I'm getting at, and what you're probably seeing with this, is if you've been playing since day one or been playing for quite a while, you should have like the core deck that allows you to borrow Goddess card. And the only reason that we're saying it's a skippable one versus like what Light Hello was and what my Satake is going to be for Lark is the fact that this was a very bad banner in JP. They dropped Super Meta Major Ramanu right before it, and she's by herself. Goddess card banner absolutely sucks. It had a lot of backlash from JP on it, and this is why every single future PAL card got paired with a very good meta card. You have Speed Elcondor Pasa, Guts Orfever, Power Nishino Flower, Speed Almond Eye Speed, Forever Young Wit. They're all paired with the new scenario card, so it doesn't feel bad to pull. Like, I mean, you can think about it from the Grand Live. Unless you got really unlucky, pulling for Light Hello didn't feel bad because Agnes Tachyon Speed was there, and Agnes Tachyon Speed is probably one of the weakest cards paired with a PAL card coming out in the future. Elcondor Speed is the Kita-san Black replacement. Orfever Guts is a massively good Guts card. Nishino Flower Power is when power cards come back very, very strong. Almond Eye Speed, of course, another power creep to the Elcondor Pasa Speed. Forever Young Wit, crazy, stupidly strong wit card that outclasses everything else. Every future PAL card banner after the Goddess card is going to feel very good to pull on, in the sense that you're at least getting value out of another meta card. The Goddess card is not like that. This one was a complete, it blindsided JP. JP got screwed on the Throne card. You gotta think of it from the JP perspective. They got screwed on Throne. They threw out Throne, a super meta card that lasted 1 CM for them. Then they had the Light Hello Agnes Tachyon Speed, which was, oh yeah, this is really, really good. They learned their lesson. Then they dropped Major Ramanu as the new scenario banner. That was the thing. Major Ramanu was the first banner of the scenario. So that's the one they got the 300 pulls on. So they dumped all their pulls on that banner, and then got screwed 2 weeks later when the Goddess card dropped, and they were all broke. Well, I get that Throne's good for independent training. I'm talking from them JP's perspective. They are Cygames is making a lot of good decisions on the global side. On the global side for us, they are like, independent training made Throne good. Independent training will make Goddess card good. And we got to see, who knows what else they'll change. They very well could change these banners. I highly doubt it, but they could. And if they were smart and they wanted to not have the same backlash JP had, they could combine Major Ramanu and Goddess card on a single banner. It's not going to happen, but if they wanted a lot of goodwill, at least with global, that's what they would do.
On paper,
highly unlikely though.
Lower output. This is URA Finale numbers, level 5 training facility on speed. Grandmasters give you more stats compared to URA Finale, but that setting is not here, so we're just using URA Finale. This is maximum break thrown, and this is one limit break thrown. If we go over here, we have 35 as opposed to 32. If we divide it by each other, that is about an increase of relatively about like a 7 to 8% chance. So yeah, that is like somewhat noticeable, but not that big. For the power, it's essentially 2 power, which is essentially is 10% difference, which of course is in line with the 10% training effectiveness with the Ancestors card, and the SP bonus is the same. Once you factor in the friendship, however, the difference widens. Now instead of it being 3 speed difference, it becomes 5 speed difference, and the power difference becomes to 3. And then there's a difference in skill points. I'm just going to give you this as a point.
Yeah, and this adds up. I mean, Light Burb is shown in the math with like Agnes Tachyon, Speed, Light Hello. Similarly, you can expect something like this to hit like 3 to 5 times per run on a god run or a really good run, maybe 7 plus times, which is the runs that actually matter are those god runs. That's the one thing I could say I disagree with Lightburb on. Lightburb does the math and shows the median values or the average or the mean. So on average, it should hit 3 times. And you're like, well, this is the amount you're going to get on average. I don't care about what I'm getting on average. What is the difference when I have that really good high roll run and I get it 7 times? Well, now on speed, if it's a 5 difference and I get it 7 times to line up like this, that's 35 stats. And then 7 skill points and 21 power. And that's just with speed. This card will land on other things too. So on a god run, you might be getting like, I don't know, 10, 15 plus, more than that, where it's lining up, and that can add up to 100 plus stats just from limit break 1 to MLB. So it is a big difference. But it is definitely not mandatory. Like I'm talking, this is talking from like the super high roll that people like me, as you've seen, will do 100 to 200 runs to get it. For your average player that's getting the average run, an average roll, missing out on like the 30 skill points from average is not going to be a make or break, realistically compared to, as we've seen with the competition in CMs. So it is copable at limit break 1, unless you're going for that god tier Uma that's going to win 95+% of the runs. It is negligible to a certain extent on the average, but the high roll, it can really make a big difference.
This is like disrespecting Throne, because odds are you will have like Summon Marazensky and Kita-san Black sometimes on a lucky training, and then you have Ancestors. Their value increases by a lot because this card has friendship training, so the friendship training value increases skyrocketingly by a lot once you essentially get that alongside other cards. About the specialty priority portion, as you can,
yeah, he's going to do the same thing as Lightburb. I think this is going to be a good stopping point because I think he's hit many of the big points. I don't like I do like seeing the averages, as that's what Lightburb talks about. But high roll is not average. If you're going for that top of the bell curve, that's what ultimately matters. When it comes to looking at the difference, you want the top of the bell curve because that's the run that you're going to keep and bring into the CM. You're not going to take your middle of the bell curve run. You're not going to take the bottom of your bell curve. You're going to take the top of the bell curve. And so averages and stuff like that and percentages and using these, it's all good in that, but it's not always completely accurate to the high roll. And he's gonna go more into the math on it and show. But and then he goes into this. He's going into the other luxury cards. We have like Jungle Pocket. We have McQueen Stamina. Mihono Bourbon Wit's probably the biggest difference maker because Gold Groundwork is super strong, but it is a frontrunner specific. Jungle Pocket Speed is very easy skip. I would not even worry about that one. You got El Condor Speed right around the corner. This is a parent specific card with independent training. Not going to be as valuable because it does not like to finish chains in independent training. And yeah, holy crap, he yaps about that a lot. And then KS Miracle Limit Break 1. KS Miracle is 1, and I think she's probably the best primed support card for selectors. Because she lasts a long time. Um, but she's very niche. And the only reason I mean she lasts a long time is you'll see her popping up randomly as a meta card, even like 3 or 4 scenarios later, simply because she's the last card that has neck and neck for your pace chasers. And you just bring her as a cope for neck and neck, not because she's a good stat stick. And she has guts and initial power on the bottom, so you can kind of cope to a certain extent there. And that's what he's kind of going into there. He's basically saying why you can just borrow ancestors and guides, especially if you've been playing since day one, because you should have the core decks, which is really this one, if you've been playing since day one, for every single one of these. And these are very flexible. Fine Motion is by no means a must-have anymore. She's just the main card that most people will have because she was the big wit card to pull for. But if you have Mr. CB, Nakayama Festa, Furin Chan Wit, I don't like. There's so many random good wit cards that have dropped now that'll work just as good as Fine Motion, unless of course you need Speedstar specifically for your pace chasers. That you will have the core deck and thus can survive um, borrowing the Goddess card. And you see this in like Henry Handsome's guide right here. They show this is the deck that you use if you're borrowing or you have to borrow Goddess card. And it's just basically your core deck. Kitas on black, Agnes Tachyon. If you need stamina, Super Creek, Fine Motion is your wit. Major Romanu is your other wit. That is the deck. That is all there is to it. Very simple. That's going to be it for my react. We're not going to watch the rest of the video because it was like another 15 minutes. This video is already long enough. But that's my thoughts on the Goddess card. I will be making my own poll priority video again and kind of go through every card through Grandmasters again based on the changes we've had, as well as kind of doing it alongside my new player poll priorities video as well. I need to get another one of those out, especially as we're getting ready to get to the Summer Maruzensky banner. Because at this point, if you're a new player coming in now and you've missed the Light Hello and Agnes Tachyon banner, I mean, it's now you're just re-rolling to get yourself situated for Grandmasters because you're kind of dead on arrival in Grand Live. If you're brand new, you just need to learn the game and play the open league instead of graded league. But that'll be it for now for this. And if you like my content, if you could like, comment, subscribe, it really helps. And thanks for watching.